Hello and welcome back to another episode of Oasys Top Tips. Did you know that you can tab through curves based on their properties using the auto blank feature in Oasys T? Today I'm going to show you the auto blank feature, which is part of graphs in Oasys T. So I've got a whole load of curves loaded into my model and displayed on the screen, and at the moment it's kind of hard to see what's what. I've got various energy curves related to the whole model, I've got some momentum curves, and I can't even see what's off the end of the list, so I've got too many things displayed really. But if I look down the side here, I can see I've also got some mass and various things associated to different parts. And what I'm going to show you is the auto blank functionality. If you hover over the auto blank button, you'll see a drop down appears. And by default, the first option is models. So if you have multiple models loaded, then you can tab through the curves that belong to each model. And what that will do is, to start with, it will just blank all the curves not as part of model 1 and only show those curves from model 1. And then if you press tab again, it will go to just model 2, tab again, model 3. And if you just have 3 models open, then tab again would cycle back through to model 1. But you can also change the functionality to other things like components or entity types, IDs, and also integration points. So I'm just going to show you some of that functionality now. Now I've only got one model loaded in, so if I press tab, we're going to see it doesn't do anything. However, if I change to components and now press tab, we can see that first of all we've got spring damper energy for the whole model showing. Then we've got hourglass energy, some damping energy, and then here we can see that more than one curve is shown because we have 6 curves representing 6 different parts for the X momentum. And if we tab again, we've also got the Y and the Z momentum here. And you can see the Z, we've also got some additional parts output. Tab again, then we'll look at the mass. And once more, the time step, energies, and then we're now back to the original option. And as you can see on the right hand side, the curves that are highlighted in green are those that are displayed, and those that are in red are the ones that are blanked. So we can see it's just cycling through essentially in order, but based on the components. Next, let's have a look at entity types. So here I'll press tab, and we can see now we've just got energy for the whole model. And then here we've got momentum for all the parts. So that's a different entity. And so because I've only got information displayed for either the whole model or parts, it's only got 2 options in the tabs. If I had things like shells or nodes, beams, discretes, things like that, then those would also appear as some of the options as I tab through. Next we'll look at entity IDs, and you can see that here we've got momentum and XYZ, and this is quite nice that it's basically figuring out that they're all parts with the same ID. I tab through again, I've got the momentum and the mass for this part. So it's based on the ID of the parts, and cycle through again. And so you can really easily see how you can group curves based on various properties like the model they belong to or their IDs of their parts. Now we'll look at component types, and here we've got all the masses, then all the momentums, time step is its own component, and then we've got energies as well. Now integration points isn't going to be very interesting here because we don't have any shells displayed. So when I tab, there's no options here. It just displays everything. And then lastly, curve IDs. And this one is basically a way of cycling through the curves in order of their ID. So without me having to blank, then unblank, etc. So I can just tab through and it will go through the list on the right. And it's also worth pointing out that you can change the direction. So I'm currently on curve 16 here, but if I want to go to curve 15, then I just hold down shift and then press tab again, and it goes back the way. If you want to disable auto blanking for some reason, you can do that on the graph header bar and simply click on AB, and you can see a red cross appears through auto blank. So now when I press tab, it doesn't do anything. Lastly, I'm just going to show you the same functionality now with a second graph open. So I'll just create another graph and clone the properties. And so in this graph here, I'm just going to make it have entity IDs, and then I'm just going to tab through, and we can see that the bottom one's changing. And if I put my cursor over the top one, it doesn't change either of them because the top one is frozen. But if I unblank that again, you can see the top one will change, and then cursor over the bottom one, and the bottom one changes. So the active window is based on where the cursor is. So I hope you found this top tip useful and you've learned something new, and I look forward to seeing you in the next Oasys Top Tips.